Hello, this is the third Gundam model that I personally have ever built, and it's the first 1/100th scale one that I've built. It is not, however, a master grade model. It's the so-called no-grade model GN-003 Kyrios from Gundam 00, and I love it. I'm sure I will continue to learn new things and love more things in the Gundam world, in the Gunpla world, as I branch out with my experience, but I am so glad that I got this one and I'm very happy with it. Now, it is not one of the more loved models out there, that's for sure. From what I've heard and what I've read and seen from other people, this is actually rated by the general Gundam fan community fairly low, and that's fine. I respect that, but I like it. I'm very happy with how it looks. I personally chose it mostly for its overall appearance. For my collection, I want to have a bunch of different looking types of Gundams with different colors and different major shapes, so it's really about the visual impact for me, and this is my one that will be orange. Well, partly orange. I might get more in the future. This is based on, Kyrios comes from Season 1 particularly, of Gundam 00, and I'm bringing in my little display just for the sake of a size comparison for folks who are new to it and maybe have only seen my videos about Gundams thus far. I've actually, fortunately or unfortunately, already influenced multiple people to get into Gundams who were never into it before, even though I myself am a total Gundam noob, but they've watched me building these things on Twitch and they're like, oh, that's so cool, I want to get into that, which is fantastic. I love the fact that it's another hobby that is just so inviting and broad and open to receiving interest from so many people. You don't even have to watch the series or know anything about the lore to appreciate this stuff. So you're just looking at my entry grade and high grade, or 1/144th scale first two Gundams compared to this one, which is 1/100th scale, and this is definitely the scale for me. You cannot have as many of these, especially once you start getting out, if you want to branching out into ones that have a lot more wings and things attached to them. You can't have as many of them in a given amount of space as you can with the 1/44ths, but I personally like being able to have more of a visual impact and more space taken up by a single one, which means that I will not end up getting as many of these. I will pick and choose very carefully. You can see right there, that bugs me. There's a little bit of a seam. Obviously, that can be closed up. Oops, sorry about losing the focus there. Focused on the end of the shield. I did build this completely just to factory spec or to instruction spec. I've not done any panel lining. Obviously, I'm aware of the existence of panel lining, all sorts of weathering techniques, custom painting and gluing, closing up seams, all kinds of stuff. I am taking this as a side hobby and taking it very, very casually and just enjoying it along the way. Not interested at all in jumping in and becoming or attempting to become a super Gundam bro or a Gundam master right out the gate. I take no shame in the fact that I picked a no grade here. Didn't even know that no grade was a thing separate from master grade for the 1/100th scale stuff, and I take no shame in the fact that I didn't do any panel lining to this. This is just a casual thing for me. I did spend way too much time building this. Part of that because I am such a noob. Part of it because I did take my time and, sand down edges. It did multiple cuts followed by 3 to 4 grits of sanding for many of the joints and things. So it ended up, looking fairly clean. I did make one mistake, one outwardly noticeable mistake on this along the way, and I also encountered one thing that I personally did not like about this. So these lenses that go over the GN units, I think there's only one GN drive in this, but these are GN particle related here. There's a lens that goes over it. So underneath there is a metallic sticker, and I got the sticker on one side. I got one little bit of something underneath. It's barely even noticeable. This one's done relatively well. Used a burnishing or embossing tool to get it all nice and flat. And then there's a clear piece of plastic, completely clear, that goes over the top of that to hold it in place, and also to give you a little extra shine and a little extra just different finish to it, which looks really good. However, right in the center of the GN drive has that exact same technique used, where you put a sticker in. It's a foil sticker, and it has to be shaped around a hemispherical shaped piece of plastic. So you need to be very careful to basically start from the middle and then slowly work your way out and get it shaped around that. And then there's a lens that goes over that. Mine does not have that lens right now because it would not stay in place. It gets attached, these lens pieces, the clear pieces, get attached to the sprue originally in one spot, and I did try to sand it appropriately to the original circular shape intended, but after doing this one and realizing that it was not really wanting to stay in there for the center one in the chest there, with the others, I didn't sand them down quite as much from that one spot. So I left a little extra material around the edge where the sprue connection was, and also left it a little bit rough. I didn't try to bring it down to anything close to a polish, and that helped to at least wedge the piece in there and give me a little bit of extra leeway, a little bit of extra wiggle room there. This kit introduced me to rubber pieces. So along the back of the elbow here, for example, you can see a white piece which helps to cover up the back of that. It's a slightly different color. It's an off-white, and you can see it underneath here as well as just a plain panel. But that's cool to me that is a technique that exists for covering some things up. Of course, you can still see the inside portion of the joint, and I will take you into showing some bits of articulation. Right there on the left, on the model's right leg, which is right here, you can see where I did make my one mistake, where I did place that rubber insert in the wrong slot. There are two slots in there, and I got a little bit confused, put that one in the wrong place. I'll probably go back and fix that. The other side is done correctly, but it's pushed in just a little bit too far. It's assembled correctly, but it should look more like that than that if you're really, really nitpicking. This does have, I think it was over a dozen stickers, not too many. Most of the detail is accomplished with the normal techniques of just having different colors of plastic that come together. And I especially am happy with how the head turned out, because, I mean, you're looking at two stickers there. One sticker for the eyes to add the green detail, and then one sticker up above on the forehead to give you that, oh, there is a little bit of scuffing in there. I can probably smooth that out. Again, it's foil. But, I mean, for a no grade, for something that's designed for noobs like me, that looks really good. This also, the whole thing transforms. I probably should have led with that. I'll put it in the title or something. The whole thing transforms into a jet, which is pretty dang cool. It's something that's also new to me to experience in this world, in this world of model making. Oh yeah, there's one other mistake that I made. I was trying to push these shoulder pieces together, and I pushed too hard. Oh no, you can see it on this side as well. Shoot. Well, that sucks. You can see the stress marks around the inner joint there from where I was squeezing too hard from the outside. One of the sides I did try to burnish down to reduce the appearance of those, but now I can see that both sides have that, and I am ashamed about that. That's something that I now know. It's something that I've learned, especially when dealing with these thinner plates, because these two pieces here are able to move. It's part of the necessity for the transformation feature, and also to get a little bit more range of motion. They're actually a little bit limiting, as you can see on this side. When it's down, the elbow is not, the elbow is stopped here, so you have to kind of choose your poses if you have this down, but you can move it out of the way. But these are very thin. The plastic there is very thin, and especially with a color like orange or a red or something, a fairly strong primary color, you're definitely going to see stress marks like that if you're not careful, or rather, if you are rough with it, unnecessarily rough, as I was. Let me go ahead and show you just a little bit of the articulation, then I'll take you into the transformation, which I personally have not done up to this point. The first thing I want to show you is this claw shield over here, which has multiple forms and multiple things that it will do. This is pretty cool, and so much time went into the build of this at the end. I was like, okay, I'm all done. I need to make the gun and I need to make the shield thing over here, and then I'm good to go. One beam saber. There's also a second beam saber included in the kit. I've just not attached it right now. Go ahead and pull this out of the hand just to get it out of the way. But the shield came first. This is nice. Just 3 pieces for that. Shield came first, and this took so long and required so much sanding, so much care. So this can extend out like this to basically act as a piercing weapon. But there's more to it than that, because this will open up. Separate right there. It'll open up not just like this, but also will close in like this to create this interesting shape. Now, with this projectile focuser or beam focuser, I think this fires not an actual projectile, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but I think this focuses together a beam, a short beam. So it's an energy like an energy projectile launcher. So it sends out mostly energy and not something physical. But you can remove this as well. This insert right here, which is just push straight in. Before I get into transformation, you can put it into this form, which makes it into just a pure cloth form for grabbing things in general. And it looks so good. I'm glad that I did spend extra time on it. But it's really fancy, and it feels cool to have it. I do have one mark that is down there that I need to burnish down right there in the center on that lower bit. But for the most part, I'm in pretty good shape with the overall look of this. And for something that's not painted, I feel like this has a nice amount of detail in it. You know, feels good. Feels good to have. So overall, let's start from the head. Is able to shimmy forward and back just a little bit, not a whole lot of range there, but the usual ability to turn the head side to side, can rock side to side as well. As I mentioned, there are a bunch of things that can fold for the transformation features, and I'll just change all of those up once it's time to demonstrate that. Shoulders, you got rotation forward and back. That's completely free, of course. For in and out, you've got an inner joint here, which is mostly used for the transformation feature there, if I recall correctly. But for standard movement of the shoulder, you've got a joint inside of there, so everything stays together. It's also able to rotate around. Double joint for each of the elbows, so a lower elbow joint and an upper elbow joint, so that's able to kind of shift forward and back a little bit, gives you a little bit more range, but most importantly, allows you to really fold this up and really get that in close. And this is where you see that softer rubbery like piece back here covering up the back of it to avoid it looking too ugly. It's not great there, but I'm glad that piece does exist in there. Ball joints for the hands. There is one extra left hand included in the set, so this is full fist mode. There's a backer, a guard on the back of it. I'm going to reach across back here. I've not trimmed this up, but you can put that same backing piece onto this open hand for a different look. This is especially useful if you have the beam saber in the right hand. There is no secondary right hand included with this model. What else is going on with this as far as, let's see, we've got the waist articulation there. I forget if this was intended to have forward and back. It does not have side to side shifting this way, so there's limitation there. The forward and back doesn't seem to exist. Sorry, I forgot about that. The legs, these kind of act as guards, like, I don't know, like comma, kind of a little bit of a hard comma piece, but they just are able to move out of the way to give you a little bit more range of motion with the legs, so that, for example, this leg can come up here. Let me get the arm out of the way for you. Leg can come up here. Yeah, you can bring it close to a 90-degree forward. You're not going to go much farther than that. Double joints for the knees here. That's not a great look when you start folding this up, but I can go in between take the lower joint, use that instead so that there's not as much of a gap in there. But this does allow you to fold this up pretty far. Now you're limited here by the existence of this back, like a butt plate sort of thing that's set up there. And this is able to also splay. The legs are able to splay in and out, so that's very useful. And you saw that they're also able to rotate around up at the top. Sorry about opening up the gap there, but that's able to rotate. Not the best, again, not the best look there with, you know, how there's nothing really to cover up the space when you do that, but it is good to have that ability to turn that regardless. Again, speaking as a newbie, not a whole lot of usable range of motion for the feet, and the feet are weird. The feet are mostly designed for the transformation feature, or with the transformation feature in mind. So there's a lot of hollowness to them. These are kind of designed like high heels. So you can see the heel piece back here. Let me move this back out of the way, get it back to a somewhat more normal condition here. So this is able to rotate around. It's going to have to be spun for the transformation. And then you've got one joint that allows this to go forward and back a bit, but not a lot. And you've got another one that allows this, the forward half of the foot, to move up and down. And then this basically just covers it up so that you're not seeing how hollow and empty it is. That's a little bit closer to toy grade in a way of speaking. You know, it's not the best stuff down there. It definitely went for function over form significantly. I think I covered just about everything. Again, another hand over here. This one, there's only one version of a right hand included, and it just works with this beam machine gun, I think it is, which has a single sticker for the forward side of the optic. I guess it's like the targeting sensor, targeting array there. Yeah, let me go ahead and I'm anxious to get to this transformation because I want to show you what all this stuff back here is about. You know, this is part of the design of the Gundam and not just the toy or the model, but it's pretty important. It's pretty key because that's going to be what you're going to see for the cockpit and the nose of the jet mode. Here it is after just a couple of steps. So you can see from the front, the head has been folded back. The spike on the top of the head is actually folded in a little bit and goes through the top of the fuselage. And everything's just kind of getting brought together here on the top. Some of these will roughly fit into space to create some of the overall color blocking. Okay, the instructions give you top and bottom views of what this should look like after the transformation, and what I've done matches that pretty dang well. However, I don't need to be a Japanese mecha model master to recognize that this is not great. Just the way that it holds itself together. Well, first of all, I have to be careful here. Don't want to mess it up too much. You can see the thing. I mean, part of that you can see, you know, it's just a robot with its legs apart. Part of that is the design of the thing in universe. You know, it's not a complete transformation. It doesn't hide itself away. It doesn't hide its identity or anything like that. But as a model as well, I mean, this is not playable. It's barely swishable. You can pick it up, but you got to be very careful. I mean, this just angled itself a little bit off, and yeah, I'm just having to be very careful with everything. It does work, and of course, these things are designed for display only. But this just did not feel great to me. It's nice to have this other option. I like transforming stuff. This is just not a great transforming option. They do give you this very nice extra piece back here that holds everything, that holds at least the legs in at the correct angle. And I'm going to try this for the first time. I didn't trim off the specialized parts for this mode. I'm going to try for the first time putting this on my stand. This is a Bandai Base 4. Okay. I love that standby. Oh, no. Okay, well, I gotta work on that. But that can be worked on. But for the time being, see if I can pull this up just a little bit, that will work. And, you know, this is something that a fan of the series will recognize. This, I think this will work for now. Yep, fan of the series will recognize as valid, you know, as a display of one of the things that you would encounter along the way that you would have seen in the show. And yeah, it's just not great, and I would not consider this to be a selling point of this at all. And I feel like it could have been done better as well. It's just very, very touchy, very testy, and ready, if you touch it wrong, if you grab it wrong, to kind of go into a misconfiguration, to be kind about it. But that's that. It's cool that it exists, but I'm going to keep mine in mech form. Come on, there, just don't touch it. Right, now that I've been through the full transformation cycle and back pretty decently, hopefully, I recognize even more that it was a simple transformation and not super convincingly pulled off, but I still appreciate that it's there at all, that the option exists. It's very easy to pull off a stand and demonstrate that transformation. You know, you don't have to kill all posability. You don't have to kill all the official form of the thing. Just have to push that back down where it belongs. It's easy to put it back, even for such a newbie as myself. But I got this for the mech mode, you know, the standard mode, and I'm happy with how it looks, and I enjoyed the process, to be sure, and learned a lot along the way. My very first 1/100th, again, I'll just show the full family as of the time of the recording of this video. This is all that I have Gundam-wise. Hopefully the very next thing that I'll be building will be the mega scale version of one of these. 1/48th scale RX 78-2 if all goes to plan, and then I'll move on to my first master grade after that, which is a 1/100th scale, and I don't remember exactly which model it is, but gosh, I'm having fun enjoying this hobby. Thank you for following along up to this point. Appreciate your time. Hope you've enjoyed this, and hope you enjoy your hobbies your way. Bye for now.